Some children develop significant patterns of resistance in their lives, sometimes even to the extent that we give them a label of oppositional defiant disorder. That's a pattern where children regularly oppose you. If you say white, they say black, or you give them an instruction to do and they have an argument or a reason why they don't want to do it or a better way to do it. And this pattern is a very important pattern to address, because if not addressed early, it can develop patterns that are lifelong patterns. So we want to change this pattern that exists inside of children. And I think this is one of the strongest ways that we see a heart-based approach work, because the heart contains tendencies inside of a person. When we recognize that the heart is this place where we have patterns and tendencies, then we can bring about change in those tendencies. I think one of the first things we have to do is we have to move away from reward and punishment as a primary motivator for children, because reward and punishment basically says to a child, I'll give you what you want if you do what I say, and appeals to the selfishness in children and actually reinforces this whole idea of it's all about me. And children need to learn something different. And the best way to do this is through, I think, the parents as the best counselors for their children. That if parents can develop new patterns in these kids, then we can see some significant progress. And the primary way we do that, I would suggest, is through what we call an instruction routine. God calls it obedience. It's something that he teaches in his word that children need to learn. And I believe that God has hidden within obedience the secret ingredients children need to be successful in life. Now, when we're working with children, sometimes we don't use the word obedience because maybe it's been overused or it doesn't hit home like it should with children. We use the word cooperation. We use the words instruction routine in order to help children. But it's a script, in essence, where we're going to teach a child how to come when called, how to receive an instruction by saying, okay, mom, and by going and doing it and reporting back. And when you call the child's name, the child should say, if we're working on this particular problem, yes, mom, or yes, dad, because inside of their heart, they're saying no or wait, and they need to be able to say yes. So if we start changing the internal patterns, by calling the child regularly and the child learns to say yes, mom, or yes, dad, then we give the task for them to do and they say, okay, mom, and then they report back and they say, I'm done. We're building a new pattern that they need inside of their heart that brings about significant change. The heart-based approach that we use is so powerful here because it's teaching children life skills that they need. And many children may have struggled even with this particular pattern, but it's not optional. It's one of those things we're going to work on, and we're going to help them to bring about change in their lives. Now, I don't believe every child needs to come called every time their parent calls them, because I'm not an authoritative or authoritarian kind of parent. But I do believe that some children have such a problem in this area of their lives, that for a period of time, we say, every time I call your name, you need to come. Don't tell me, wait a minute till I get to the next level of the video game. Don't tell me you have a better idea. You need to come right away. And then you need to do what I'm telling you to do, the way I tell you to do it, not with your better idea. And not because we don't want to listen to children, but for a period of time, we're going to invest in them and say, we're going to do this so that you can learn how to respond and give up your agenda. It's a lifelong experience. Some adults don't have this, and I think that's why Paul says in Romans 13, 1 and 2, every person is to be in subjection to the governing authorities. For there's no authority except from God, and those which exist are established by God. Therefore, whoever resists authority has opposed the ordinance of God. And it's something children need to learn in their families, or they're going to have problems the rest of their lives. So let's work with children, help them deal with this problem of resistance inside of their hearts.